All right, I'm gonna call this to order. I don't know where Anna is. Hopefully she's just stuck driving home. So it's 7 o'clock. This is the Park Commission meeting of September 27th. Quick attendance, Dave Passios,
Here.
Chris Sullivan.
Here. Sorry, I was muted.
Also with us tonight, we have Rob Oliva and Rob Thompson, who is our current acting recreation director. All right, so let's get the basics out of the way of this. The first thing on our agenda is, do we have any public or board comment? Take that
I want to acknowledge the baseball, the All-Star team, the 11, 12-year-old All-Star Babe Ruth team from this past spring. They did a nice presentation on Friday night. Nice to be out there, be part of that. A couple of selectmen were there. Senator Cronin was there. That presented the boys with rings and plaques. So it was nice for them to be acknowledged at the football game. They did a good job.
Chris, do you know if they have something that can be put up down at Marshall in honor of their winning the district?
I don't know. I'm happy to reach out to Steve and ask him.
Okay.
I didn't see anything there that would be any sort of permanent structure, but I can definitely reach out to Steve and ask if there's something down there.
Want to acknowledge them in some way down there as well. It was a great job that they did. They had a great season.
Yeah.
All right. Any other board comments, public comments? The next thing up on our agenda then is the approval of the April 2021 minutes. Did you guys all see those in the drive?
I scanned through them today, but I didn't see any problems.
Okay. Anybody have any issues with them?
Motion to approve the April minutes.
Second.
So we need to, any discussion? I assume no. We need to roll call vote this. So Dave?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Anna, I see her, but I don't see her.
I can see her on video.
Oh, are you here, Anna?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Sorry, you're missing on, let me change my view. Let me change it to gallery view. There you are. So we're approving the April minutes. Your vote on that?
Aye.
Great, and it's an aye from myself. So those are passed. We still have a ways to go and catching up, but we will get there. All right, the next thing up is going to be Rob Thompson. He is our recreation director. Is it all right if he introduces himself first, Rob?
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. Take it away, Rob. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Rob Thompson. I'm your acting recreation director for Lunenburg. I was born in Leominster, raised in Fitchburg, grew up in Lunenburg. My grandparents lived here my entire life. I moved over to Germany after high school. Lived there from 97 to 2013, so roughly around 15 years. Worked around the military as a civilian contractor. I've done recreation for 12 plus years. Came back. I've worked for Job Corps, and that was my most recent recreation job. Stayed with them for about 5 years, and now I'm here with you.
Great. Well, we're very happy to have you. I met with both Robs last week, and it's nice to have somebody on board, regardless for how long they're here for. So thank you for jumping on and filling in and filling the gap of this need that we had. Do either of you have any updates on any current programming or anything that the commission needs to know?
Yes, we're going to have your second annual trunk or treating. We're going pretty much off of the same format, without the complete social distancing in terms of the shoots. But I've been in contact with about 20 different businesses daily. Even today, I've picked up another business that is willing to participate, and I'm trying to bridge that gap for the community, the businesses that support the community to come support this event. But that would be October 30th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the upper parking lot of the high school.
So the upper parking lot, that's the main lot, correct?
Yes,
The one that goes by the front door?
Correct. It shares the I guess it's the TCA
TC Passios entrance?
yes, that
Okay.
drive. It's the same as the Christmas drive, I guess.
Awesome.
Have you connected with the skate park on that as well? Are they part of that end, or they wanted to be a part of that, I think, again?
I still haven't contacted them yet directly, but if anybody has any contact info, I'd gladly reach out to them.
I do. I'll send it over to you momentarily.
Thank you.
I know Anthony will be occupied tomorrow, but after that, I think he'll be around again.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Rob on that? Great. Any other updates from you, Rob Thompson?
No, I'm just basically I've observed all the facilities, all the fields that are presently in the under recreation, and my ears are open. I'm open to suggestions. I am willing to do whatever it takes to make this a successful program.
Great.
Rob, I got your email back today. I'll call you tomorrow. I caught it late in the day and had a couple work issues come up, but I'll give you a call tomorrow, and we can talk a little more about soccer and basketball and things like that.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Great.
One
Anna?
quick question, Rob, if I may, Karen, if you don't mind. We've talked a couple of times over the past few months about free events such as this trunk or treat. Are there any other simple ones that you have in mind before winter sets in, like a morning walk or a weekly walk at a certain time, or that type of a thing?
Absolutely. I think hiking is something we can definitely capitalize on here in Lunenburg. There are a tremendous amount of paths and walking areas. As a matter of fact, for Job Corps, I used to take the students here for ample amount of walking. And if we can incorporate that with different groups, whether it be any type of age group, we can meet in the evening. And me and Rob Oliver have talked about this. I would like to have a meeting event where I can walk with the community. If I can work along conservation as well, I would like to do so, and definitely capitalize on the nature reserves that we have.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Oliver, do you have anything?
No, I don't actually.
You guys are making it easy tonight. I was trying to send this email over to Rob so he would have Anthony's email address.
I have Anthony's email and contact info if that's fine.
I have it right here. It was just a matter of me getting into my email to send it. So it's coming your way right now, Rob. Let's see. There it is.
Rob Oliver, any updates on the beaver or the light posts on the pond?
So as far as the beavers go, I reached out to a couple different companies. They are active at Marshall Pond again, not too badly at this point, but they are active. So I reached out to a company who I believe is in Southampton, who I forget the name of the company. I don't have it in front of me. They were going to put me on the list of doing an assessment. So they were going to at some point swing through town and take a look. And then I also reached out to the original company, Beaver Deceiver, gentleman who designed the original, and he's put them in all over the place. I sent him pictures, and he just gave me a preliminary assessment and what he thought it might cost. So I'm just waiting to hear from the company from Southampton and what they would recommend and what they would do. But yeah, so I have looked into that. The poles, my guys have been busy, so I just haven't been able to get there. And it's also been very wet, so I didn't want to drive the backhoe out behind your property and behind your neighbor's property, just for the fear of sinking in and creating a big, huge mess. So once the temperatures start to come down, I think we'll be able to get out there.
Okay. Yeah, you don't really have to worry about much regarding that, because it's just grass grows wild.
Well, not only I'm worried about damaging your property, I'm worried about getting the backhoe stuck, because that would create a huge mess.
That would be a huge mess. Yes.
Yes, and that would tie up my crew for a full day trying to get it out. So that's what I really want to avoid.
Okay. All right.
Okay, great, thank you very much. All right, the next thing up on our agenda is the dog policy. It's in the, Rob Thompson, did you see the email that I sent out to everybody that had a link to a Google Drive?
I did not connect to the Google Drive, but I did see it on the agenda.
So it's, if you're interested in looking at any of these documents this evening, if you want to open up that, that drive, they're all in there. So the dog policy is what's up next. There's 2 documents in the drive. One of them is, starts with TC, that's town council. The other is town manager. If you remember back to our last meeting, one of the tasks that I had in trying to figure this out was fines. And I did go back to town manager on that, and the issuing of fines would actually come back to the park commission. So it's one of those things that the police department and the animal control officer wouldn't oversee. It would come back to the commission as a whole. If we had a complaint and we wanted to issue a fine, it would have to come from the commission as a whole. The policy says may be subject to eviction from the park and or may receive a fine. So it can be left in there, even if we obviously don't ever end up finding anybody. It's there if we need it though. I think that was the only thing I needed to go back to on town manager. I think everything else, nobody else had any other questions on that. From what I remember and from my notes.
Yeah, that was my one question reading through this again now, was that the fines are there. It didn't really specify who was issuing those. So, but I think it's fine with saying we're, and we'll give Dave a book. Dave can have a little book and he'll walk through the.
So she actually made a point to make sure that we knew that it can't be an individual commissioner. It needs to be the commission as a whole that would issue the fine.
So what would the procedure be? Like, what would, I guess that's if we were to issue as an individual, like if I'm walking through Marshall Park, there's dogs off leash running across the baseball field, whatever, is it ask information, then we have a meeting and.
Yep. So I did ask on that because I said, the first line of defense is going to be the resident in town who's having the issue is going to either call the animal control officer or the police department. And she said they would respond in the same way they would if there was a nuisance dog. So it's my understanding that information would go. So say the animal control officer responded, she'd collect the information that she needed. She'd do whatever on her side and it can be passed off to us. And then we as a commission would put it on our agenda and decide if there needed to be a fine. So not as direct of a process as probably would have liked, but that's the answer that I got from her. Does anybody have anything else on that? And I'm specifically looking at the town council one with his changes coming through. I think they're in like a red pink color.
Yeah, has more detail on it.
Yeah. Do you want me to read it through so it's officially on the record? Or are you good just reading it through yourself and waiving the reading?
I read through it. I'm
You're
fine
good.
with whatever the procedure should be, I guess. I read through it myself.
All right. Anybody else have anything on that, or is this something we're ready to approve this evening?
I
I
think
think
we're
we're
ready.
all set. We had 2 readings on it previous to this and, made some final adjustments. Town council made the proper adjustments that we knew needed to be made with the proper Mass General laws quoted. So I think we're good to go.
All right. Could I get a motion to approve the parks properties dog regulations?
I'll make a motion to approve the Lunenburg dog policy regulations with the town council edits.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, I think in that motion, it should say Lunenburg Parks Department, just so that somebody doesn't hear that and say, oh, they're making policy for the whole town.
So it's the approval of the Lunenburg Park Commission Park Properties Dog Regulations.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Thank you. Any other discussion before we vote? All right, quick roll call on this. Dave?
aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And an aye for myself. Rob Thompson, do you have access to put things up onto the MyRec page?
I do now, yes.
Okay, later this evening or maybe even tomorrow morning, I'm going to send this over to you. Do you think you could get it posted for us?
Absolutely.
And it can be shared on the, this is a change because we have previously not had, we have, our current policy up until 2 minutes ago was no dogs on park properties. So this is a change to that. So it can even be posted on the park's Facebook page if you're so inclined. I don't know what you have access to.
I will
Do we
do
need
my
to,
best.
do we need to post this on the parks?
On the MyRec page, the park's MyRec page?
No, on the parks themselves, like put up
Physically on the
sign.
ground.
Yeah, we should probably, yes, the short answer to that is yes, whether it's a printout of this and laminated or something, it should be posted since it is a change. I just, and looking at the list quickly, I don't know if the Veterans Park, I don't think is a big concern. Whalem's obviously no dogs there anyway. Fitzgerald, Marshall, and McNally should all have a place to post it. So yeah, I'll ask Rob T to work on posting it. Not a
Yeah.
problem.
Karen, eventually we're gonna have to get signage up at the Saliva property or Northfield Park, I guess it's called now. That identifies the regulation for off leash and probably a sign where the, what did we give it, 50 or 75 feet into the trail from the parking lot?
50, I think it said. Yeah.
You know, wherever that point is, there really should be a sign facing in both directions, you know, marking that spot for citizens.
Okay, yeah, we can work on all that. All right, so Rob T, I'll get this over to you by the morning, definitely. Awesome. All right, so the next one is actually the reason why we asked for this meeting to be moved to this evening. Some discussions had been had between Dave and I think Rob Oliva, the sewer department, about expanding and putting Marshall Park into the sewer district, because right now, when you look at the sewer map, Marshall Park is left out. You can see where it's the whole shape of Marshall Park is left out. By adding us into the sewer district, it would allow other options should we so want them as we move forward with planning of Marshall Park. Dave, I'll let you add your stuff in here because you're the one who's done a lot of the legwork on this.
Yep. What you've given for information on the sewer connection and getting the park into the sewer district is a step to, as you said, give us options to go either direction. There are pros and cons to both avenues that we are pursuing. There tends to be a little more flexibility with sewer, but there's also some challenges with the present situation. But getting the park into the sewer district is a simple thing. The article is, actually we're voting on recommending the article for the town warrant, so we probably should put that up on the screen. And basically all it says is that we're petitioning the town to add Marshall Park to the sewer district map. We're also on the agenda for tomorrow night with the sewer commission. They're totally on board, but it'll just, and we can submit this with either way. They do not have to approve an application of this sort. But it's nice to go into town meeting with their support, and they'll be meeting and voting on that tomorrow. We have done one round of soil testing over at Marshall Park. We found
For septic.
For septic, yes, excuse me. We found the old septic system and we found the old septic tank the hard way. But there's going to be one more trip over there to try to grab a couple more spots just to give us some flexibility on location of the system. and then design of the system will move forward in that realm. And then at some point, we're going to have to start putting a comparative analysis together for connecting to sewer. I've spoken with a few people that are in the industry, and I get different answers and a warning that there's a lot of unknowns. But at least we'll have the comparative analysis, and we can decide as a commission as we go forward with the design for the park, which way we want to go, or maybe even both. And, you know, one of the things that having the park in the sewer district doesn't mean that we can't run a sewer line in, say, if Chestnut Street were sewered in the future, and the bathrooms that we put in now are more towards the Route 2A side, we could come in on the Chestnut Street side or vice versa, and use the septic system for one set of bathrooms and the sewer line for the other. Again, I said this earlier, there's pros and cons to both, and I think we'll all come to a consensus here at some point once we have the data to look at, and we can move forward.
So in a nutshell on this is really to give us options. This is to give us the option so that if we decide that we want to do something, and it would help with the planning, whoever is brought in to do the design work of what Marshall Park could look like, what they're working with. If we decide to go all sewer, great. If we decide to go all septic, great. It won't, you know, but we can't make a decision on sewer if we're not part of the district.
Right.
So this is the first step to get us into the district. Somebody asked recently what the urgency in making this decision was. If we don't do it now for the special town meeting in the fall, it needs to wait till the annual town meeting in next May. And, you know, being what, 9 months off, 8 months off, that could be a hefty amount of time to wait if we're trying to, you know, move forward on Marshall. Does anybody have any questions on that?
I've got one quick question for Rob Oliver, and it has to do with the sewer connection. In one of my discussions with the contractor, one of them asked me, is there a manhole cover near the driveway entrance? And I finally remembered to look when I drove through there 6 times today. And there is a manhole cover that lines up pretty much with the Marshall Park sign. Does that mean that that's an easier connection than going under, you know, across the road and into raw ground to tie in?
Not necessarily. I mean, it does, depending on if it's a gravity sewer or a pump sewer, could make a little bit of a difference. I'm assuming whatever if it's a sewer connection, it's going to be pumped, just because, you know, to get it there, gravity would be difficult unless it were close to that area. So if it's pumped, yeah, it does provide a slight advantage, but nothing you couldn't overcome. If anything, it ends up being a slight cost savings if you can connect a force main directly to that manhole. Otherwise, you'd probably be looking at putting in a manhole. So yeah, there's probably some cost savings.
Right, okay. Yeah, in some conversation with the engineer that was at the park the other day, I guess they've got a really nice inline grinder system that works really well for this type of an installation. And I don't know how new it is and how tested it is, but
yeah, and that's kind of what I had envisioned. It's just a prepackaged deal with grinder pump. You can basically put it anywhere and pump to your destination. It's a simple solution for sewer, and yeah, that's kind of what I had pictured in my head right along. So,
right. And again, the comparative analysis we're working on here. The other thing that we all need to keep in mind is that the money for septic and the piping and the building and possibly fixtures and is already there. We don't have to fundraise that. It's available at no cost really to us.
The building? So I thought that they had excluded the building. In that.
They'll
thought it
go far.
bad.
The feeling right now is that they'll go as far as the $104,000 will take us,
Okay.
including
We can sort
fixtures.
those details. Yeah, we can sort those details out later.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Anna.
Sorry. What is the sewer commission position on adding Marshall Park to the district?
They're supporting it. Dave had talked to Dave McDonald. You all need to get different names like Anna, Karen, you know. So Dave Passios talked to Dave McDonald and he was in support of it. I talked to Dave McDonald as well. And he said the same thing to me, that he is in support of it. Is it nice to have their blessing as we move forward? Absolutely. And I do think we will get that. It's not necessarily needed. It's one of those things that we can request to be put in and then the town decides. But from what Dave has said, it's something that he is confident that will be supported by the sewer commission as well. And he saw no problems moving forward either.
Okay, no, I knew that, anyone can put a request. I think last town meeting, on the town meeting before, there was a citizen that put a request. When they did the sewer district, looking at the maps, it looks like some properties got excluded for one reason or the other, based on the sewer commission at the time's judgment of their need for sewer there or not. And I think Marshall Park is probably one of those. And it seems like, from what I recall from town meeting, that was also the case with this one private citizen that their property had been excluded.
It's
But,
my understanding of past history that one of the reasons that Marshall wasn't included was because of the size of the property. The concern was it could be developable by, I suppose if we were to sell it, a housing community could go in there. I don't foresee that ever happening. But having sewer go directly by there would have, or having that area already in there, it's just it's enticing to a builder to go in and know that they're in the sewer district. So that's sort of my understanding of it, but.
yeah.
That's
Now,
pretty-
does Chestnut has sewer available to them?
No, it comes down Mass Ave.
Mass Ave, okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so I'm going to put something up on the screen. This is what we're looking to see about getting approved this evening. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Did that come up?
Yep.
Okay, so it's to see if the town will vote to amend the sewer service area map by adding the parcel known as Marshall Park /Pond, 100 Chestnut Street, known as parcel ID 060-0018-00 to the Lunenburg sewer service area and sewer service zone, or take any other action relative thereto, and it would be submitted by the Lunenburg Parks Commission. We're actually the Lunenburg Park Commission. I changed that. Do I have a motion to recommend this to town? It goes to Board of Selectmen, correct, Dave?
Yes. So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any further discussion? Great, this needs a roll call vote. Anna, I'm going to start with you. Every time I do minutes, I'm like, why do I call on her last? So Anna,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and an aye from myself.
Aaron, I'll send an update to Elaine because I had copied her on the original email just to take that S off of Park.
Okay. I can send it over to as that we took this vote this evening, and
Actually, that's probably the best way to do it. I had thought of that earlier today, that verification from the chair of this committee is probably the best way to do it anyway.
perfect. I'll get that over. Add it to my to-do list because if I don't, I will forget. Okay, excellent. Next thing is a Dave thing again. Any updates on the Marshall track, Dave?
Yeah. Over the past few weeks, in fact, it was the day we were over there for the skate park soil testing Mark Bursch came over and he and one of his guys and I did a walk around of the track. And the more Mark took a look at it and what's there, and it's filled in with so much organic matter and growth now that any surface simple thing is really not going to accomplish much. It'll probably look okay for a short period of time, but then you'd have to continuously maintain and control the vegetation. So it's more or less been decided that there's more there than just a simple fix, even to bring it back to a black cinder surface for the short term. So the feeling is that we push it into the master plan, and then there's a final decision made as to, what's configuration the track might be. Is it staying? Is it going? Or is it going to be completely rehabbed? So that's where that's at. Rob, if I understood you correctly, we are still going to treat the poison ivy along that one stretch adjacent to the track over in, that would be just short of left field. It's an area along the edge of the track, and it pretty much ends where the left field fence starts.
I had asked Mark for a quote to do that, and he must be busy. I haven't seen it, so I'll reach out to him again, see if he can get that over to me.
Okay.
But
The last
yes,
time I talked to him too, that these rain cycles were going to hold him up on applying it anyway, because you got to have a certain period of time with no rain or it's not effective.
Okay.
So that's it on the track for now.
Great, thank you.
One thing to quickly circle back as regards to Marshall, Rob, Oliver. I don't think we were in our last meeting, but we had put it in the request. And I don't know if Karen sent to you about the invasive water plants at the town beach and Marshall Pond. Did you get that request?
I did, and I actually reached out to the Conservation Commission administrator for some guidance from him or any past history, if anything's ever been done that he's aware of. So he was going to get me some literature on it and a place to start. I'll reach out to him again too, because I haven't heard from him. But that did come to my attention, so I'll keep looking into it.
Okay, I wasn't sure if maybe Karen forgot.
Nope. She got
A lot of things. That one I didn't. I've been trying to do things like literally as I was sitting here, I just sent an email over to the town. I try to do it as we're going, because otherwise I forget. That one I didn't forget.
Okay.
Rob, when you talk to Matt Marrow, if there's nothing that we can technically do to treat any of the weeds over at, like, say, the town beach, can you ask him if he knows, like, literally a weed puller? Can we hire somebody to go in the water and pull those weeds?
From what I understand, apparently there's a gentleman who uses the town beach who brings, I don't know if it's just snorkeling gear, or I know he spends time in the water and he pulls them by hand, just kind of on a volunteer basis. But there may be companies that do it. That's a possibility.
It's the weed problem has gotten so significant over there that I don't know if any of you have swam over there, but when you are towards the deep end and if you're treading water, you literally feel like you're being attacked by snakes. Because
Okay, that's not good.
It's like, yeah, the kids don't, let me tell you, the kids don't like it.
Well, I think there are things that can be done. There's a process for it. Just like, the lakes that we have in Lunenburg, they have to submit a proposal to some sort of proposal to different boards and departments to get it done. But, in our case, we'd be submitting as from the town. So there are things that can be legally done. It's not going to be, go ahead.
Yeah, I forget if I spoke with, it may have been Joanna Bellata, who is Lake Shirley Association. And as I recall, I don't know if I specifically had the conversation or I spoke to someone else who did. I know it's very expensive. So, and being where Lake Whalum is not technically a town property, it's not under our direct control. I don't know that we could even take it on treating them chemically. But I'll look into it. I'll try and find out more.
I actually think Whalum is ours.
Is it? Okay.
And I
It-
I was
the
over there today.
Problem lies in the fact that the lake's in is in Leominster and Lunenburg.
Yep,
I thought the state had jurisdiction over it.
maybe when I was on the Lunenburg GIS today though, and that area I believe came up on under Lunenburg, because for the first time we kayaked all the way around it today, and I wanted to know where some of these really nice houses were, so I had gone online to look to see if they were Lunenburg or Leominster, and I thought I clicked on the lake and I thought it came up as Lunenburg, but we'll look into it. All right, excellent. All right, one of the final things on our agenda for this evening is the Marshall Park Master Plan. After the last meeting, I went back to the assistant town manager, who is the one that puts this together, and expressed the concern we had. She actually went back to the video of our meeting and watched it. So based on that feedback and based on information that she had from the Board of Selectmen, who put a similar request in for the old primary school, she's made some adjustments to it. And when you look at that proposal, anything in yellow, there are dates that need to be changed. They need to be changed based on when it goes out. So those will be adjusted. So all the stuff in yellow you can ignore. Anything in red is the adjustment that she has made. The one that came to mind first is under project summary. She changed it. She changed the restrooms, but then the square footage of the skate park, she did 5,000 to 7,500 square feet. Not knowing what the commission is going to choose down the line, I think that we should say 10,000 square feet. They are coming in. The skate park is coming to the commission next month, and I know that they would like to talk about the square footage. So that was the first thing that I had seen, but any of her other changes are in red. The biggest changes are the deliverables. So task number 1 she kept in, which is the site analysis and schematic design. And then she took out task 2 and task 3. Rob, Oliver, did you get a chance to look at this at all? Does it look?
Yeah, I did. And I
Fine.
think that's more of what the expectation was.
Agreed.
I mean, I'd still like to see task 2, but I think that's a tall order.
Okay.
Yeah, what I was under the impression, and now
Vision of
we need
it.
to- yeah, what I recall kind of matches what Rob said is task 2 was going to be simplified, but not eliminated. Well, they created 2 maybe, I don't know what happened.
Let me see.
Wasn't that your recommendation, Rob, on
Well-
last meeting, to have 1 and 2, but not 3?
I honestly, I don't remember exactly what I said. I guess my desire would be to get, a modified task 2. I just don't know if the budget will allow it. So it's, yeah.
So there would be a conceptual design presented to us, a conceptual plan. It actually says, at the second public meeting, the firm consultant will present and discuss 2 conceptual plans and their cost estimates. So I feel like some of that is still in there. What's not in there are some of the finer details of task 2, which is, a grading and drainage plan, a lighting plan, a utility plan. Those things aren't in there, but I think where we would get the conceptual design ideas with just task 1.
Okay.
Rob, is there a reason for going for 2 conceptual designs. I always find that just confuses the issue and, you know, depending on how far forward you take those two different programs, you could end up mired in that for a whole year.
Yeah, I think if we were just doing task one, obviously having, I mean, you could have two completely different layouts and trains of thought on how to use it. So I think it provides you with options. I think once you get past the schematic stage, obviously you're focused on one, but I think it gives the commission an opportunity to, you know, weigh the pros and cons of different layouts, and maybe in the end you come up with something that, you know, takes a little something from both. So I think it's a good idea, and I think that's what a schematic design is kind of geared for, is you know, flushing out all your options and coming up with something. You wouldn't want them to come to you with just one layout with one cost estimate and say, okay, here's what we think, because everyone's going to say, well, what if you did this? What if you did this? So yeah, no, I think it's important.
Yeah, that makes sense. And going any further than that into construction documents is a waste of money if you do that type of document for both options.
Right.
So on the, Dave, one of the things you had said was if two conceptual plans are being put forward, it could take a while to sort of weed out which one we want. This actually says at the second public meeting, the firm consultant will present and discuss two conceptual plans and their cost estimates, and the park commission will select their preferred conceptual plan at this meeting.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about that is it doesn't give the commission enough, potentially doesn't give the commission enough time to digest the two options after they've been explained to us by the architect, engineer, whatever you want to call them. That's something I don't like to do, is have documents put in front of me either at a meeting and have to make a decision, or even 2 or 3 days before the meeting without explanation behind them and have to make a decision one way or the other at the next meeting. So I'm not sure how we mitigate that, but
Correct if I'm wrong, but I think once they present the conceptual designs, the conceptual plans, there is not necessarily a decision to be made on that. Then we gotta develop how to get to task 2 and 3.
Yeah, I
but
think
you
that
have to pick one of those designs.
I think that language is geared towards moving towards task 2, which, so
Right.
maybe it just, and I'd have to look at the previous draft of this, but yeah, I think Ann is right. If they present our two concepts, and at some point in the future, I think the commission will make a decision moving forward as it enters phase 2 for design development. So I just think that's a leftover, honestly.
You want me to have her remove it?
I would. I mean, because so by selecting an option, it means you're moving ahead with it. And at that point, with this RFP, that consultant at that moment in time, they're kind of fulfilling their obligations under the RFP. So unless you're moving on, and then, perhaps at the next stage, if you move on to, hopefully it's the same consultant, you then go to them and say, hey, we like A, but we like this part of B, let's combine them and move forward in that direction. Or we love A, let's just go with it.
Okay.
The other thing that I don't remember seeing is anything in there specifically guiding them as to who they're going to communicate with to come up with their conceptual designs. I know it does say that, it mentions the information that we gathered in the spring and over the summer about what some of the townspeople would prefer uses be at the park and things like that. But, for like TCP, there was a specifically wordage in there that they would, have conversation with each department, have conversation with XYZ, and input from other sources.
I'm just reading.
Yeah, I haven't got it pulled up, but I don't remember seeing anything other than the work we did earlier this year, polling the citizens.
So
Does
it
say
says,
they would attend a minimum of 2 design process meetings.
yep. So it's
Just doesn't say who would attend those meetings, I guess.
under description of task 1, the selected firm consultant is expected to assess and evaluate all existing site conditions and existing documents related to the parcel. The selected firm consultant will be expected to attend a minimum of 2 design process meetings, which will help to develop 2 conceptual site plans
To the
the
commission.
property, accompanied by a construction cost estimate for each conceptual plan. It is anticipated that the consultant shall introduce themselves, review their design approach and parcel research at the first public meeting. Additionally, the firm consultant will engage with the commission and relevant stakeholders at this meeting to gather anecdotal information and feedback for planned use of the property and design. This meeting will be used to discuss layout, security, public safety issues, and all relevant information in order to prepare 2 conceptual site plans.
Okay, so it's kind of a generic thing instead of listing specifics as to who they're gonna talk to or reach out to. I'm wondering if it's prudent for one of those 2 design meetings to be on site with the commission. What are your thoughts? There's pros and cons to it. Too much input from us may push them away from a different thought process that they have. So, I mean, you could look at it both ways.
Well, I think the way it's described is broad enough that, is broad and specific enough that if we come to the meeting as a board, we'll have, I'm sure we will have the space to elaborate our thoughts. But having only 2 meetings to create a conceptual design, if one is given exclusively to us, it might also limit input from other boards and maybe the public. So I kind of like having it open just so that we can get more input and, other boards can participate, the public can come and participate in both. If we make one be exclusive to us, I think it will limit the conversation and information and somewhat take some of what it could be valuable information from other parties.
And I'm
So-
sort of visual, and I agree with Anna, and I do, I mean, I think that being on site is great, but I tend to be visual. I like to see the overhead of the property, and somebody can point out the area that they're thinking of something. Sometimes when I look at it when I'm there, it just doesn't line up for me. So I mean, in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter. I think that I think whoever gets hired for this is going to have gone down there and spent some time down there already. I'm sure that, if somebody wanted to meet them down there, they wouldn't necessarily be against it. So I don't think we need to designate how we would have the meeting, or the location of the meeting per se. Does anybody else have any thoughts?
I think generic seems to be fine. Do we need to say anything on the restroom front with we crossed out the ability to connect to town sewer? Is it fine? I mean, we don't have that yet, but do we need to
Let me go back up to it.
adjust that 2.2 project summary?
No, I think just saying that proposal shall include a unisex.
Just
restroom.
restrooms.
And then if it's available by the time we hire somebody, I don't remember the time frame, how long this has to be out for and whatnot. If we have the option at that point, because special town meetings, the first week in November?
16.
16th? That's later than I thought. We'd be able to tell them at that point if we are able to connect into sewer, if we're not.
And the other decision is to whether we want to or not.
Right.
And they may be able to give us some guidance after we tell them what our options are, what options we presently have available.
So here's my take on this piece of property. When people say to me, why are you doing this? None of us on this commission, nor either Rob, have a ton of recreational experience in laying out a park. We need somebody to come in and look at this parcel so that we're utilizing it in the best way. If that means turning a field a little bit, If that means doing away with a field, if that means being able to utilize an area, you know, for a pavilion, we've got to make sure that we have our parking is taken care in here. So when I'm looking at this, they may look at this parcel and say, you know, this is where I see this baseball field, and this is where I might see this field, and horseshoes over here, and, you know, dog racing over there. Kidding, by the way.
Thank you.
You know, when I look at that, they know best, and they can make recommendations on where bathroom facilities should go. And if they come in and they tell us that their recommendation for a bathroom facility is location B, and our septic is supposed to be going in on location A, and they have a great plan for what could go on A, I think that's important. I think it's important to know that, so that we're not using pieces of our property for something that doesn't make sense. As I said that, do we still have parking up in this? I've read this so many times, I'm losing
Yeah, I
track.
just saw parking,
Okay,
suitable parking, I think, is what I said.
And that's one that I think is going to require some conversations as to, number one, the history, and number two, once they come up with a conceptual, you know, do we want to tie up that much area? I don't think we're specifically forced to have an X number of spaces, because it's virtually impossible to come up with an attendance number. So I still haven't got an answer from anybody as to whether zoning kicks in for X number of spaces for a park or not.
and I have no idea. It's above my pay scale.
We need to say the parking situation up higher than where it's listed. You say, you know, so we have site analysis and schematic design, but like up front where it says project summary, we say proposal shall include restrooms, skate park.
Hold on, I'm trying to.
We don't say anything else
You want
about.
their project summary?
Yeah, 2.2. So within project summary, we don't say. We specify that parking is available for 60 vehicles. But the next paragraph, we say what proposal should include. We don't say anything about. And it is down below. I mean, it's listed under the.
I think it's fine where it is down below, and I say that because the mention of the
There a couple of
restaurant
times.
and
Yeah.
the skate park are things that they're sort of, sorry, let me decline my child. They'd be new, they'd be being brought back into the park. And the skate park, it would be a project, a sort of a private citizen project that would be coming in separately. So that's there to, I believe she put that there so that they don't think they're supposed to be designing a skate park. So I think it's okay where it is down below. Rob, does it make sense for it to be just in the second part under the task 1?
I think you're covered under task 1. It's listed as the first, you know, primary activity. So any designer is going to know you need parking. So I wouldn't, it's mentioned, I think you're fine.
Okay.
Do we, when you say the skate park being privately a citizen project, should we specify that?
I don't think
Say
we
that
need
it's
to.
a. Okay.
I don't think we need to, because I think that, I mean, they're gonna be doing some legwork as well when they come into this project. And I would imagine that's gonna be the first thing that's gonna be told to them. You know, when they inquire that this is not a project that they need to design, it's being designed by another group.
We'll likely have an update by then anyway, if that's where they're thinking, I guess.
Right.
Sure.
Hold on one second. So. So that my only question, and Rob, you may know the answer to this. So the primary activity zones within the park envelope should include, but may not be limited to. Down in that section, we don't mention anything about fields, should we have something down there? Should there be something there saying that the current field situation needs to be looked at and, you know, with possible recommendations for changes?
Yeah, yeah, that should be in there because that's primarily one of the things we're looking at is how we're using the fields and in, you know, what manner and what type of use. So yeah, I would say so.
Okay. All right, so based on that, and if somebody disagrees, let me know. I think we have to go back to the assistant town manager again and have that added in there unless unless we just want to add it in and, you know, motion this to go through, you know, with that change.
So I guess my question is this, if the skate park's coming next month, I mean, are they giving us an answer next month in terms of a thumbs up or thumbs down on the location they're looking at? Do we know that? Because if we know that that's the case, then it would make sense to maybe hear that out and then we either include that or it's not included in this proposal as even a mention.
Not sure, but here's what I'm going to say on that, Chris, and this may not be a popular opinion. Until a shovel goes in the ground that project is started, I don't think we can ever bank on it 100% for going in. I think their fundraising is moving. I don't think they've gotten to the level that they need to be. And that's not me trying to be a Debbie Downer on the project. I am just looking at it like any other project we have, including the playground that we did over at Wallace. Until that shovel goes in the ground, anything can happen. Anything can change. So
I just mean from the standpoint of, I mean, if the thought is that it's this location or it's not. So if they were planning to come next month and say, yes, we want to be here and we're still raising our money, or we don't want to be here at all, then we can just remove it. So if we're taking the mention out of this entirely, or, you know, having a decision next month, if it's staying or going in this, you know, location, potentially, we could push it off we could have it rewritten and look at it next month and finish it out.
I'm fine if that's what the consensus.
But if we're not going to get an answer, then it would make more sense to just move it forward, add the verbiage we want, have it edited, vote on that if we need to vote, and push it out the door to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I'd like to see us move it forward. I at the beginning, Chris, of your comments, I was still thinking through everything, and I agree with you. There's some good things to be had if we wait for the skate park to. But as Karen said, all we're going to get is another generalization that, you know, here's where we are, here's where we're going, and we don't know if we're going to be at Marshall or not.
Yeah, that's all we're going to get.
The only other thing is we might get a clear no if the results of the engineers they're working with evaluating the soil testing, the test holes that we did say, you know, you're going to waste your time trying to do it there. If we get that answered, then you're right, and that comes out of the RFQ. But I think moving forward with it in there, and if they're still undecided when we actually sign a contract and start the design, then we tell the designer, if you see a real important use that you want to include in the park that's in that area, it's not set in stone that the park is going there. If you can prove to us that there's something much better for that, you know, 12,000, 15,000 square feet that encompasses, if it were up to 10,000 plus the peripherals, then we can make a decision based on that information and know what the alternatives are for that space.
I mean, the other thing is too, is that everything's fluid. So even if this went through, if we push this through tonight and she put it out there, what's the response time? 30 days?
It's like a month for a proposal, I think it said.
So
It's only 30. I was thinking 60, but it's a minimum of 30.
Issued on the 20th of July. I mean, example dates issued on the
the
20th of
dates- the
July.
dates are
Proposals
written.
are due by the 17th of August. So it's a month.
A month, okay.
Because by the time it gets out, we will have met with the skate park. By the time, like so before anybody even starts work on it, I mean,
Yeah, the interviewing and that kind of process and so forth would not have taken place yet.
right.
Yeah.
So what do we add to the primary activity zones within the park envelope should include? How do we phrase that for the, so I have two things on that before I forget this one. She had changed it to an area with stationary pavilions that can be used for picnic areas. I actually think that should be changed to an area with stationary pavilion and then parentheses with an S, so that they know that we're not necessarily looking for more than one.
More than one.
That can be used for a picnic area. That would be my suggestion there, but I don't know how we would.
I think we're simply saying, I think the primary activity zones for the park should include, I mean, we want them to, I think, include athletic fields.
Multi-use athletic fields.
But it could be, I mean, I would say leave it general, athletic fields that could include,
Oh,
you
so
know,
then
it could include baseball, it could include rectangular open space, multi-purpose fields.
it
a
does
variety.
say in there, other areas of consideration which should be considered during the planning process, sufficient public parking, long-term maintenance of the park and structures, and multi-use park for community uses.
That
So
doesn't, I think we should still specify athletic fields though.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Just put it as athletic fields up under there, so parking, athletic fields, and an area for stationary pavilions, etc.
Yeah. And let's see what they come up, I mean, again, generalize and see what they come up with. I mean, at these, I would assume they're gonna look at these, look at the space and they're gonna see what's there.
Does that sound right, Rob Oliver, to add that just athletic fields, like that's all we would have to say?
Yeah, athletic fields and their programming, or no, there's mention that the town did a survey on what residents are looking for, correct?
Yes, we did it.
Okay, so maybe yeah, because I know it was mentioned in there because I remember reading it. Maybe it ties into that, even the line that says multi-use park for community uses, multi-use park and athletic fields or something for community uses. I think that it deserves a mention.
So how should we phrase it?
I would even just add it to the last line there that says multi-use park for community uses. You could say multi-use park and athletic facilities for community uses, something to that effect.
My only concern with it being down under there is that's kind of like, it's kind of that secondary mention sort of deal. I mean, I think one of the primary, I think fields, athletic fields of some kind is gonna be one of the primary in that first section where we say primary activity zones of the park envelope.
Yep. Yeah, I guess I agree, Chris. Throw it right up in the first, put it right ahead of parking.
All right, I'm good with putting athletic fields above parking. Anna or Dave, do you have any issue with changing or adding that in?
No,
Nope, not at all.
Does anybody have any issue with changing with stationary pavilions to singular?
Nope.
I think I'd like that to be worded in such a way that, in my vision, I didn't see a second location for multiple pavilions, but I want to make sure that they're looking for opportunities for small picnic areas scattered through the park. Can we word that sentence in such a way that they're, looking at other locations for a couple of picnic tables or something to that effect, but not a full-blown pavilion. Because like on our walk there, that pine grove that overlooks Marshall Pond is one of the spots that I really think should have 2 or 3 picnic tables on on it. And depending on what we do with the configuration of the rest of the park, there's a couple other places.
So an area with stationary pavilion, parentheses S, and other picnic areas throughout the park.
That works for me, unless anybody else has a concern about it wording that way.
An area with stationary pavilion with the S.
Put the parentheses S there, yeah.
Uh,
As well as additional picnic areas throughout the park.
Okay.
And we could say small picnic areas. We could even include small, like we don't, we're not looking to drop Hollis Hill picnic tables. Or Hollis, yeah.
And I think the pavilion is one of those that we'll probably spend some time discussing between the commission and whoever gets hired to design this, to give them, obviously you all know I have a vision of it. I don't know if the rest of you do or not. With multiple recreational uses right adjacent to it, such as horseshoes, shuffleboard, maybe even the a volleyball court, if it worked into it near that area.
What about this? Doing an area with a stationary pavilion, parentheses S, that and other areas to be designated as picnic areas.
Sure.
Stationary pavilion and other areas to be designated as picnic areas. Or to be used as picnic areas, to be used.
Used and set up as picnic areas.
Yeah, they can be used as picnic areas.
Because really the stationary pavilion, I'm thinking of more as a shelter.
Yep.
A picnic area is nice, it would be a double usage of it, but shelter would, shelter from the storm. All right, so the changes that I'm looking at on this would be the three that we've mentioned, the going from 5,000 to 10,000 square feet on the skate park. And then the stationary pavilion and other areas to be used as picnic areas. There was that one. And then what was the other one that I had?
The addition of athletic fields.
Oh, yep, the addition of athletic fields.
Do we need to not mention the track, or should we mention the track in here?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
And you could include that maybe even with the athletic fields and say athletic fields and.
Well, is it covered under multi-use park though?
know.
When we're looking at that stuff because
I just think if we're trying, like, if we'd like to see as a commission, if we'd like to see a track still there, even if it was under the secondary consideration kind of deal, I think it might deserve a special mention, just so if someone is putting a plan together, that it's including that sort of. We're making that suggestion that we'd like to see
I wonder if we're getting too
a
specific.
small walking track.
If that should be coming out when they meet with us and we present to them our survey results.
Yeah, I think, some of
Track
these
is in the
things,
survey. Yeah.
like I think by putting a lot, we may not see things that we don't envision. And they're gonna have, I don't know whether they be doing this, like they'll probably come to us on their first meeting trying to take notes, and these are the notes information we can give them. And sometimes during a discussion, a vision comes up, will come out better than just giving people a list. I would personally steer away from giving too many details, because what we are saying is not necessarily unimaginable in a park as big as Marshall Park. They'll
Yep.
probably have those ideas and they'll probably come up with new ideas for us. But if they feel like they have to hit all those marks, we might be missing out on seeing something else.
I agree. So those are the three things that would be adding the athletic fields, changing the skate park size to 5,000 to 10,000 square feet. Although my notes, I just wrote 100,000 square feet. And the stationary pavilion section. Other than that, everything else that's down towards the bottom, that's pretty standard in the, that's just standard in an RFP. Rob, that money amount, she's got them highlighted in yellow. That's something that's pretty standard. It says 200 to $1 million. That include projects that had a design and construction cost in the range of 200 to $1 million.
Okay.
Are those pretty standard? Or I should have asked this, but when I first got it and read it, I don't think they're looking for us to come up with a number.
No. They're looking, it's a qualification for the consultant. They just want, it's just a representative sample of their work.
Okay. All right, so this is what we have in front of us with those three recommended changes. Are you guys comfortable requesting that or approving this or making the recommendation? I don't even know what the proper verbiage of a motion is, to have her put this out to bid.
Yes.
I don't know, I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable with not, excuse me, somebody on this commission not putting eyes on the final draft before it gets put out.
I'm happy to do that. I can do it
Yeah,
however.
I think that Karen, I think that will work because you know what we've discussed here tonight and what our concerns are. And
Well, I can tell you exactly what would be changing it to, which would be adding athletic fields under the primary activity zones. So above parking, it would say
while you're right there, Karen,
yep.
instead of using fields, how about athletic facilities? Make it a little bit more general. Sorry to interrupt, but that was one I jotted down.
Okay. Is that all right with you guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I would be adding athletic facilities above parking. I would be going down a couple of lines to change the next area, an area with stationary pavilion, S in parentheses, and other areas to be used as picnic areas. I'd be changing it just like that. And then the skate park line would be changing it from 5,000 to 7,500 square feet to 5,000 to 10,000 square feet. Those would be the three changes that we are making.
Yeah, can you add one more thing after picnic areas, and that's reflection areas or whatever you want to call that type of space? Do you know what I'm getting at?
Meditation zones.
I have no idea, Dave.
Well, where we've got a number of memorials already placed on the park, that if we need to relocate those go into reflection areas or, you know, spaces.
So how about this then? Yep, stationary pavilion and other areas to be used as picnic / memorial areas.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, does anybody want to motion this mess? It's not really a mess, but.
I'll motion
Oh,
to approve the RFP, incorporating the edits that we just discussed.
Anna, what were you gonna say?
I just want to make sure we are approving to be sent out, right? So it's not going to come back. It sounds based on the motion. Okay, that's good.
Do we need to include finalize on that though, Dave? Do you want to, in the motion, do we want to include so long as there's a final read by Karen seeing those edits in the proposal.
Yeah, I think the motion should actually include authorize the chair. Basically your motion, and at the end of it, authorize the chair to do the final review before it's distributed.
So can I change that?
Yeah.
Authorize the chair and vice chair to both do a final review.
Okay. Yep.
So Chris, give me the exact motion that you're hitting me up with. Sorry.
So I will make a motion to approve the RFP as discussed with the added edits this evening, barring a final review of the chair and vice chair reading the proposal before it's sent out.
Okay,
Second.
thank you, Dave. Any other discussion before we roll call this vote? All right, Dave,
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Anna?
I,
And an aye for myself. That is done. Thank you, folks. Chris, I will include you on my CC to the assistant town manager. If I don't get to it tonight, I'll do it first thing in the morning. Let me just add it to my list so I don't forget it. Okay. The last things on our agenda for this evening, which are somewhere lost in here. Do we have any additional public or board comment that needs to be made?
Are we
I
going
actually-
to,
yeah.
are we going to deal with unanticipated issues?
Yeah, do you have one?
We have two issues, actually.
Okay,
They're old ones.
okay,
The portable toilet has reappeared at Marshall
oh,
Park.
yes.
Uh, I'll let Karen go with that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. What's your second one though, Dave?
Is the dumpster. We're still having that
Okay.
issue. And I have a picture of it. I think I sent it to the chair of flat screen TV and residential trash in the dumpster again.
Okay, so this is what's happened over the course of the last week. Back in July timeframe, maybe early August, right after we approved that our policy for portable toilet facilities and dumpsters, that went over to that was sent directly to the president of the Little League. Right after we passed that, the Board of Health also passed some policies that had a list of things they were asking from us. They were very similar to what we had, with one other caveat, which was making sure that the disposal person was permitted, I believe was the wording, in the town of Lunenburg. All of that, our policy was made clear to the Little League. Sometime in the last week or two, a portable toilet was brought to Marshall Park without us knowing. That was seen last week. It was locked. I haven't been down there, but it was locked when Dave was down there. But they didn't provide us with any of the information that we required of them, that the Board of Health is also requiring. So I had asked Rob T to reach out. Did you get a response from them?
I did not by the end of Thursday, and if he did respond, I have not received any email. Actually, I have not received any email from Steve, so I believe he didn't respond yet.
Okay, so that's our first issue. The second issue is that the dumpster that's down there.
should we talk about that first?
Yeah, we can, but yeah, we can. Go
Okay,
ahead.
well, is it gonna be, do you have something in mind that will?
No, but
Go ahead.
both of our policies that we passed on the dumpster. I'm looking for my thing here. Both of the policies that we passed on the dumpster and the toilet included the ability for us to have them removed at the discretion of it says, Recreation Director, DPW Director, or Park Commission reserve the right to have dumpsters removed at the expense of the renter if units are not properly maintained and secured or failure to comply with these policies. And it's the exact same thing for the portable toilets, which is why I was thinking maybe it would be a group, like bundle them, but we don't have to So we don't have to bundle them. So
No, we can bundle up, but I see what you're saying now, because they're
So
both kind of
we-
defaulted with the same issue.
So we required the Little League to provide us a copy of the service agreement between the renter and the service provider. That they'll be locked daily, no later than sunset, by the renter, which it looks like they have been doing. But the main one was having the service agreement, so we knew who was servicing them. We also said that placement of the toilets at all properties under Park Commission custody is at the discretion of the Park Commission and shall be requested at the time of the field use application or no less than 7 calendar days prior to delivery. We didn't get that. The location of this porta potty, have you ever seen one in that location before, Dave?
No.
So it's in
right at the gate access to the 90-foot diamond on the two-way side.
On the two-way side.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
it's the back of the 90-foot diamond. Your access to it to drop it in there would be in from 2A.
Right.
You know, there's
Okay.
the gates where the 100-yard dash track used to be.
Yep. Well, I don't, okay, so, all
And that's
right.
because they're using the 90-foot diamond. They're not using the smaller fields.
Is this the Little League?
This is the Little
Yeah,
League.
that's a question we're all asking.
Because like, even the majors play down, they call it the Powell Field.
Yep, exactly. And that, so Rob, all of us sent over the field request, and it did come in under the Little League. It didn't come in under, it did not come in under, I would have thought it was going to be Babe Ruth, but it didn't. It came in under Little League.
Yeah, they're all done. He was down there, I'll say a month or so ago, just.
I don't mean the Phillies. I mean, so typically in
Oh,
youth
okay.
baseball, Babe Ruth is the one that uses that 90-foot size diamond, not the majors, which is part of Little League.
Yeah.
So the question is, what do we do? Do we ask for it to be removed, like we said? Because we also have the Board of Health component on there, which is them also being told that this unit's being put in, that they want to know exactly where it's being put in before it gets put in, that they want a copy of the licenses for the, I don't know what the service provider, I don't know what it's called anymore. So there's a Board of Health piece too. And from what the Board of Health told me when I went back to them back in over the summer when this all came out, I said, do you want the user groups to go directly through you? And she said, no, they should go to you because you're the ones okaying this. This is your field. So you should be coming to us with all of this information. So we have to answer to the Board of Health too.
So I think my suggestion would be to ask Rob Thompson to send the Little League an email.
He
This is
already
my
did.
Okay, elaborating that, not just maybe an email, maybe even a written notice that they have X number of days to comply with the policy, or both things will be removed at their cost, at their expense. And just a forewarning that we don't have to do this piece, but doing this piece will probably just cover the fact that we are giving them final notice that the dumpster and the portable potties will be removed with X number of days if they don't become compliant. That would be my suggestion.
Dave or Chris, do you have any thoughts?
I'd
Yeah,
go
maybe
with I guess the
respond.
warning first, sort of. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that, and I expressed this in a private conversation, that with the short time that's left, Rob, actually, when are they done using the field? Because in their application, they gave you dates, didn't they?
I can pull it up.
Well,
Because I'm just concerned they're just gonna wait it out by ignoring the whole thing. And if
well,
we don't-
wait, I'm not saying give them in a month. I'm saying give them 10 days to become compliant. Give them a week. I mean, it's really just submitting paperwork that they're missing now, right?
Paperwork and approval by our board and
I don't,
technically by the Board of Health.
no, the
You
Board
have
of
to
Health
approve it.
doesn't, the Board of Health does not have to approve.
They do.
Yes, they do.
I thought
They
you
do
said,
it-
Karen.
They do it for Shady Point every year.
So I'm trying to pull like 10 different things up at one time. So hold on a second.
In any case, what I was saying was the process cannot go forward and be completed by the time this little short fall season is going to be already over. So
Yeah, but I have a problem with us establishing a policy and now us knowing that the policy has been violating, us not taking any action.
Say that again.
So, well, you know, I don't want us to not take any action. Like, there's a policy in place. We are literally saying, there's a policy in place that, you know, the parties know, and we know they're in violation of the policy, and we are not, what are we gonna do about it?
So
what are we waiting to hear back from them on? So Rob Thomas has sent them something. What is that? Is that the initial notice that, you know, you're not in compliance and what's going on?
well, I'm taking maybe a harsher stance, and you're all welcome to talk me off this ledge. This notification went out to the Little League the night of our meeting. There was then a chain of emails between the Little League president and myself. So I know we got it, and I know we read it. So we're mere weeks, maybe 6 weeks at most out from when that discussion happens, and this porta potty showing up, that bothers me. You know, I feel like they think that we're just here to, you know, get in their way. That's actually not true, especially given the circumstances of why we had to come up with this policy over the summer. I'm looking at the Board of Health information. In connection with the above matter, please find the Lunenburg Board of Health regulations regarding portable toilets. In accordance with these regulations, the board requires the following when placing portable toilets on town property: a plan showing the location of all porta potty toilets, name and contact information for company providing the porta toilets, the copy of the service agreement, duration of placement of toilets, and a copy of the septic hauler's license for company providing the porta toilets. You know, these are things that, and that email was sent over to myself, to Rob, to our rec director that's on leave back in July. And it's extremely similar to what we had also posted. And because we weren't asking Little League to go directly to them, I didn't forward that on, but we would have been able to get all of that if they had asked permission to put it on there. Rob T sent out an email on Friday asking him to respond by Friday evening, or close of business day on Friday. And he didn't get a response. I mean, I don't know. I'm tired of feeling like we're being walked all over down there.
So Friday would have been their ceremony that night, so I can see that as being otherwise, not as an excuse, but otherwise occupied, or maybe you didn't get it, but it's now Monday evening and you don't have a response. I did just get a response from him on the signage they'd like to add to the park, which I forwarded to you, Karen.
Okay.
So he's, you know, I got a reply in the last 2 hours, or hour and a half. I think we do need to take some sort of kind of hard stance on this, you know, and set a limit here in terms of, you know, this is the information that, you know, not only are we requesting information, but now we're being asked to provide information to the Board of Health, and we don't have that information to provide. So we need to also protect
Hold
the
on,
ability for
Chris,
us to.
hold that thought for 1 second. Let me just see something. I'm wondering. Okay, no, I wanted to make sure we sent it to the right email address. I wanted to make sure I provided Rob T the correct email address, and for a second I didn't think I did, but I just compared. So you may continue with that thought.
We're now being asked from the Board of Health to provide some information that, and if we're not providing that information, then I would suspect that maybe that jeopardizes our abilities to add porta toilets in the future for other events, groups, and so forth. That if we're not providing that information, then that becomes in jeopardy. And I think we do need to take kind of a hard stance on this. And maybe it's not remove it now, but this is information we need this week to be in compliance with the Board of Health, and and in compliance with the rules that we set for our parks that we shared with.
How about this?
With the organization.
How about we send another email? Today is Monday evening. Let's set a date of, are you working tomorrow, Rob T?
Yes, I am.
Why don't we ask Rob to send an email first thing tomorrow morning? We can copy again our policies. We can also include a screenshot of the Board of Health policy, and ask for that information by, what time do you work until do you work Tuesday, Rob T?
Yes, I do. Just to clarify, I did send the email out Thursday, and I requested information for the close of business on Friday, and I understand they had that ceremony going on, but he could have at least gave me, threw me a bone or something, but
Yeah. Do you work what days? I don't know what days you work, Rob.
all right, yeah, okay. I am Tuesday through Thursday from 9 to 3.
All right, what if we told them that we wanted a response from him with the information by Thursday morning at 9 a.m.? If that information is not in Rob's T's email box by 9 a.m. on Thursday morning, we will request that Rob contact the number on the front of the porta potty and have it removed.
Okay.
Does that sound?
Move.
So I made that motion. I don't know if chairs typically make the motion, but that's the motion that I'm making, that we request that Rob T send an email with copies of the Park Commission policy and the Board of Health policy tomorrow morning, Tuesday, September 28th, requesting a response by 9 a.m. on Thursday morning from the Little League, providing the required information. If he doesn't have that, he can then call the number and have the porta potty removed.
Second that.
Yeah, Dave, Anna, whoever. Is there any discussion on that? Because we were doing really good on our meeting until this topic came up. Any other discussion on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's important, as Anna said earlier, we spent a lot of time coming up with the regulations to satisfy the Board of Health with the issues that we had earlier in the late summer.
And we came up, some of these policies, we also were, as we were working on them, it was to alleviate concerns that residents of our town had on those facilities. So we owe it to the residents of our community to make sure that we are, following through with what we worked on and put through as policy. So, all right, let me do a quick roll call vote on that. Dave?
Aye.
Chris, you there?
I said aye. Can you not hear me?
I didn't
Aye.
hear you. Anna?
Yeah, aye.
I,
And an aye for myself. Rob, I will, I'll send you over an email shortly with, you don't need to look at it tonight, do it tomorrow, with all of that information in one document so you can do it as a forward, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And can you put that information on the MyRec website as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So then the dumpster is the bane of Dave Pasio's existence, I think. They're not locking it. And that was another policy that we had sent over. So because they're not locking it, or if they are locking it, it's not secured well enough. This past week when Dave was down there, there was TVs, just regular trash on there. I can tell you that this is not a new issue. Even if I go back on the Little League's own Facebook page, they had problems with people dumping there last year or the year before. So this is not new. My stance on that is I think that needs another stern reminder that it needs to be locked. They need to be out of there anyway by November 1st. So it's not like, we have 4 weeks left of the dumpster. They're not leaving their trash, whatever's there, they're being required to dispose of. So I suppose if somebody wanted to drop something else down there, but I think that one definitely needs a warning, and a warning that we are on the verge of having that dumpster removed as well.
Will do.
Second that.
Wasn't really a motion, but. Okay, thanks for thinking of this. Does anybody disagree with that stance?
And I don't understand why they need to still have them there, because especially the one over at McNally, they're not using that field. The dumpster's just sitting there being filled by the public.
Well,
I honestly have not looked in that one, so don't take that as I know it is.
Was there still a dumpster at McNally recently?
Last time I looked to pay attention, I will look again soon.
Okay. All right, I will send all of this over. I don't think, since unless somebody feels differently, that we need to execute a removal of that dumpster. I think we're okay for right now in issuing a stern warning to get it locked and secured so that there's not dumping going on.
I think a reminder of the removal date though as well.
Yep. Well, I was gonna, in my email that I'll send over to Rob T, I'll make sure all of that's in there, especially since he's new and, he's probably like, who are these crazy people? So, okay. My public comment / I don't know what, is, Dave, you went to the school committee meeting the other day.
Yes.
Is there anything, are they doing another reading? This was in regards to community use of their fields or park commission use of their fields. I don't know how to summarize it.
Yeah, I think it was Anna that sent us a draft a few weeks ago, and what the policy committee reviewed in regards to field use was, to the best of my knowledge, exactly what was in that draft that Anna sent us. I think it takes care of the issue of parks programming potentially being charged for use of the fields, as the problem we ran into in recent months, and having to cancel programming because the cost, that pushed the cost over what the revenues were going to be. There is still, in my mind, an issue, and it can't be settled within a policy, and that is the agreement between parks and the school athletic department and or district, however you want to identify it, with the exchange of use of Marshall Park's ball fields for use of the fields on the school properties. The policy basically accomplishes it, but I think there needs to be a separate document between the two entities that memorializes that agreement, because at some point there will be some use that we're looking to do that the school's going to say, oh, well, that's not included in this verbal agreement we have. And that was part of the problem. It was a verbal agreement that was never fully vetted through the school department's protocols. Now, what's in place as a draft is coming before the full school committee very soon, and I'll have to check to see when that is. And if anybody gets a chance to look at, that was recorded, but I don't know if they post those Zoom meetings anywhere or not, the policy committee.
I don't know. I can certainly ask.
Yeah, because it was posted.
October 6th. I think it's their October 6th meeting.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to get into the weeds on it because it's, it's a bigger topic, but I think that, I think having it in our policy that we're not charging for use of our fields for their school needs and the school having it in theirs, I do think that it covers it. But I do think that there are some fine details that could be worked out, and we can leave that up to either us as a park commission meeting with somebody from the school committee or the athletic department or whoever, or our recreation director to do that at some point. You know.
Yeah.
'Cause they're gonna be-
And I specifically, as they were finishing up that particular section of the meeting, I specifically asked the question for verification that the policy that they had just reviewed does not cover the use of the Passios building. That is under the care and custody of the Board of
Correct.
Selectmen, and school policy does not control
Correct.
that.
Yep, that we know. All
The
right.
only other thing, Karen, I'm sorry to keep
That's okay.
interrupting. The other thing is that the field use fees go away, but all of the other peripheral charges,
Yep.
such as the cost of a janitor and those types of things, are still in there. And I don't know if there was any intent of negotiating any of that also. I mean, like if we go into TCP, are we going to be charged janitorial fees?
TCP is not part of their policy.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but
They're the ones.
it would need to be negotiated separately, but do we know?
I'm looking for Anna's email.
This is facility rental fees for Lunenburg governmental bodies executing governmental functions will be waived, but custodial and other related event costs will be charged. Facility rental fees for town recreation programs, with the exception of youth sports seasonal programs, will be waived. Custodial or other related costs will be charged.
So it's the one that grabbed me was other related costs will be charged.
Right.
So
I
yeah,
guess
I
I
have,
lumped that together in my head. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I have that. So let me reach out. I know that the chair of school committee is not on this policy committee. She mentioned something about October 6th. I don't know what I don't know if it's a policy subcommittee meeting or if it's at a school committee meeting. So let me see if I can figure that out. I am not available on October 6th. I have something out of town. That's next Wednesday. So I can, I'll reach out to somebody and see if they can go and see. That's the only thing that was concerning to me when I read it, was other related costs will be charged. Are they suddenly going to have, charges to use the walking path? I don't know. I'm making up an example, but
Should this say, I guess the only thing that jumps out when I'm reading this again is it says facility rental fees for town recreation programs. Should it say facility rental fees for town recreational sponsored programs? Because I think that was one of the issues we had, where our it was a town program that we sponsored through Best Soccer.
Yep.
And so when they heard Best Soccer, that's when the charge came in. I don't think there was going to be, if it was just a town program, I don't think there was probably going to be a charge. But they heard Best Soccer. So I think, I'm wondering if we need to designate that so that anything that is sponsored by our rec department is covered,
yep. I
given
agree.
that we outsource a lot of the program.
All right, I'll send an email over. I'll figure out. I'll figure it out. Okay. All right, on for our next meeting is scheduled for October. Where are we? October 27th, which is the last Wednesday. On our agenda there is going to be our beach coordinator, who's going to give us a season recap of this past beach season, the skate park. And I'm also planning on inviting Little League to that. Rob Oliver, I don't know if you're available for that one, but I'd love for you to be part of the Little League discussion, because they they do a lot of work on the fields. And it's stuff that it's totally outside my pay grade. So,
Are you doing that meeting the 27th, you said?
yeah, are you around
Or
that?
are you going to do the Monday, the 25th?
We were gonna do it the 27th, because we had been doing, the only reason we moved to tonight was because of the,
That's
Oh.
right.
Sewer commission.
Okay. Yeah, I'm right now.
if you're not though, don't, like, I can figure something out with Little League.
Right now, I'm open that night.
So I'm gonna see if we can get them to come, skate park and the beach. If any other small things pop up, I'll add them. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm thinking of for an agenda that night. That
Sounds
work?
full.
That works.
That's my concern.
I don't think this going until 9:30.
No, because I thought we were gonna be done at 8:15 and here we are at 8:45.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah, thanks a lot. I think that's all we have. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Great.
Very enthusiastic.
I
I'll
may
second
have
that.
had dinner and may have not had dinner, so.
So we got a roll call vote this, although I can tell you the end of last meeting was much better when it looked like the police lights were on Dave. Dave, are you voting yes or no to adjourn this meeting?
I was just trying to decide, yes.
Chris?
Yeah, aye.
Anna, you
Oh.
adjourned the meeting?
Yes, I
Chris
thought
and
I made the motion. Oh, I
You
see.
did,
vote.
but then we had to.
You
we
still
had
have to vote.
roll call vote. All right, we're done.
Go get
everybody.
dinner.
Thanks so much, Rob T. You'll get an email from me shortly.
Rob, I'll
Alright,
call you
good night,
tomorrow.
all.
Rob T.
Night all.
Thanks. Good night. Nice to see you.
Take care.